Hey, Puppy Trades! Wanted to do a video analysis update. We got the Super Bowl coming up in Las Vegas. And already, Stephen Colbert did a full segment in a monologue last night about the gematria of the Super Bowl with Taylor Swift. It's going to be her 13th NFL game that she attends. It's Super Bowl 58. 5 plus 8 is 13. And she's playing the 49ers. 4 plus 9 equals 13. Apparently, the fact that this woman's favorite number is 13, you know, is supposed to mean something. Let me see. Yeah. It's like Russian roulette doing your search history live. This is why I probably should have pulled this up before. Yeah, I think we're good there. Okay. Yep, okay. Okay. Wow. That was like storming Normandy, baby. All right. The Federal Reserve on Wednesday said a funding lifeline created for banks last year after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank threatened to spark a wider financial crisis would close as scheduled in March. The Fed also raised the interest rate on new loans from the Bank Term Funding Program for the remainder of its life, effectively ending what had become a popular and profitable arbitrage opportunity for U.S. lenders, which analysts said should deter fresh borrowing. Now, look at this. The sunsetting program, look at it, it's called the sunsetting program on March 11th. Okay, so that's right around the spring equinox. The quad witching, of course, is the spring equinox. It's the sun setting program. So they're trying to, what we should be celebrating is the beginning, of the sun conquering, the light and, the spring and the new year. But they're going to have a sun setting program on March 11th to try to get that energy back. But what was this called? The official name, Fed to allow emergency bank lending. Emergency bank lending. Do the Swifties know about this? Oh, show this to the Swifties. Oh, yeah, show this to the Swifties. One of these terms in this article, this exact article, is a quadruple match in every cipher with the man who is stalking Taylor Swift. I'm going to find it. Bank term funding. It was one of these where it's one of these terms they got. Is it bank term funding? Look for the capital letters. Nope. Am I going to look like a Let's see. One of these terms, because Taylor Swift, her name is the same as the Swift financial system. And if you've looked at the U.S. national debt clock, they got all types of Easter eggs on there. We're about to have some major changes to our financial system, and March 11th is coming. There was a specific name for this program. What was it? Man. The BTFP. Michael Barr. Oh well. Probably should have found that before I started the video. Emergency lending program? Okay. What? Wow. It definitely wasn't the sun setting program. But that is kind of a cute name. Man, I had this all marked up and I just deleted it. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. The official name for this man, I'm telling you, it's not Silicon Valley Bank. Maybe I should just do this article. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Yes, it is. Woo! Woo! Show this to the Swifties. Show this to the Swifties. Woo! Woo! The Swifties don't know about this one, do they? Whoa! Taylor Swift, man. She has the same. She's all synced up with our financial system. This article was written January 25th. This article was written January 25th. Wow. You remember what happened January 25th? Besides a Jackie Robinson statue being stolen, cutting off the bronze, gold, silver, very valuable metal statue worth $75,000, right? The metals. Cutting them off at their feet. Taylor Swift, unfortunately, was the victim of an AI attack. AI robots. AI robots. Those darn AI robots. All decided on January 25th. That was the very first day to make some explicit photos of Taylor Swift. Wow. And so all of X.com and, all these social media sites, all these mainstream sites are flooded with these very disgusting, raunchy photos that are just fake. They're not real. So Taylor Swift is a victim of an AI attack. And it's actually gotten so bad, this exact same AI attack that occurred the day the Federal Reserve, or the day, the news broke, the Federal Reserve on Wednesday said a funding lifeline created for banks last year after the collapse of Silicon Valley bank threatened to spark a wider financial crisis would close as scheduled in March. So, because Taylor Swift is the victim of an. Oh, and if you didn't notice this, or if you didn't hear about this, not notice this, the same day, Taylor Swift's team beat the Ravens, and she's being stalked by someone named David Crow in Seattle. Allegedly. Well, I think that's actually a fact. She's being stalked by someone named David Crow in Seattle. Crow, like the Raven. So she beats the Ravens. And what happens that night? Well, the Detroit Lions, the other football team, they represent the Roaring Kitty. 3 years ago to the day, I believe was yesterday, was the day of around the time, the beginning of the famous GameStop AMC short squeeze. Essentially, it's been believed by members of this community that members of this AMC GameStop community, not a community that I'm not one of the apes. I just see them as other tickers, no different than a packaging stock, no different than Dell computers, no different than the next option screen that I'm seeing lots of activity on a stock. I don't see them as any different as those, but some people think that GameStop and AMC are special because institutions have been doing something called naked shorting, which is a fancy way of saying they're shorting more shares than the entire float of the stock. And allegedly, they've been getting away with it by having the collateral for their short positions in a Chinese company called Evergrande. So Evergrande is, I believe, the second largest real estate company, real estate developer, one of those, in China, and they just went insolvent. They were ordered to be insolvent. That means that not only is their stock price no longer trading, they're getting broken up. They're at the phase now where they're going to be shutting down shop and paying back the debt holders. That means that they're not going to be, there aren't any more bonds to buy in Evergrande. Essentially, they're at a completely different phase of the game that, to be honest, I'm not really an expert in at all. I don't really know much about that. But the basic theory is that Eminem is the white lion, right? That movie, Leave the World Behind, that giant boat comes on the beach, and this was a movie produced by Barack Obama. It came out about a month and a half ago. This giant boat comes on the beach, and it's named the White Lion. And so Eminem is the White Lion. He's white. He's, going to these Detroit Lion playoff games. And a white lion on the beach is a very unusual sight to see if you think about it. A white lion on the beach would really distort your perception of reality. Kind of make you wonder if you were dreaming, right? Not to be mean to Lions fans, but you guys have been the most famous kind of underdog in the world. Kind of like the meme stock traders. Kind of like the GameStop traders. That reputation for those Redditors that the media carefully cultivated in 2021. So if we look at the two championship games we had, Taylor Swift, like the Swift financial system, defeats the Ravens, and she's being stalked by Crow. She's being stalked by David Crow in Seattle. And she was the victim of an AI attack that leaked lots of her. They didn't leak pictures, they created pictures that didn't exist of her, right? So she was the victim of an AI attack. And that's an interesting aspect of the story as well. The idea that these pictures were fake, they were made up out of thin air. Because Taylor Swift represents the financial SWIFT system. And that's going through a major change right now. So she defeats the Raven, right? The Crow. And she's going to play the 49ers now, right? The 49ers. So the 49ers are obviously associated with the gold rush, gold and silver, right? Whether they win or lose, it's going to be interesting. You know, the last time gold and silver had a massive rally was also when the Chiefs played the 49ers, which is also interesting because around, you know, this same time in 2020, the Chiefs were about to play the 49ers. And then 2 or 3 months later, some of these major changes, quite similar, I would say, to this emergency lending program, were made by the Federal Reserve. They lowered the reserve requirement ratio to 0 in mid-March of 2020. And in mid-March of 2023, 3/11, they created a lifeline for banks last year after the Silicon Valley Bank threatened to spark a wider financial crisis, would close as scheduled in March, right? So they set up a 1-year program, and on March 11th, it's going to be up, right? So obviously, March 11th, you know, 311. I think that one of these terms equals 311. Like I said, I had it marked up, but the big kind of giveaway, Silicon Valley Bank quadruple match with David Crow at the exact same time we're hearing about, and it's all being made official, that the Silicon Valley Bank lifeline isn't going to be extended. You know, Taylor Swift is a victim of an AI attack. So that's actually gone all the way up to the White House press secretary's ears. And so they are actually working on legislation. And I think Twitter even did something. Twitter has made a policy, or at least it was reported on X. Someone has reported that X was making a policy to where you couldn't look up Swift AI attack on X. You couldn't look up Swift AI attack. Well, most people are going to think that's because of the Taylor Swift AI explicit photos. Now let's talk about that again. Explicit photos. Now you might remember another aspect of 2021 with the meme stocks was the NFT craze, the non-fungible token craze. And what were those? Monkey pictures. Monkey pictures. They were pictures of monkeys, and they were completely worthless. But a bubble formed very briefly, and it was entirely unregulated. Well, that was 2021. In 2024, we've had spot Bitcoin ETFs be approved, and we've had numerous spot Bitcoin ETFs be approved. Most likely next in the pipeline, Ethereum and Solana, and they're just going to go down the racket. Well, once Ethereum and Solana get approved for ETFs, it's going to be very hard to say that non-fungible tokens aren't regulated, because non-fungible tokens are mostly on the Ethereum and Solana blockchain. So I'm not one of those, there are people who know a lot more about the fundamentals of cryptography and what each of these ones offers to the broader blockchain ecosystem. My understanding is that most of the most respected NFTs right now are minted on Solana and Ethereum. And the third one that I would say is Decentraland. Now, Decentraland, there is a trust for it, kind of similar to GBTC. That same company has a trust for Decentraland in over-the-counter markets. I'd say a Decentraland ETF is pretty far off, but I don't think an Ethereum and Solana ETF are too far off. And even if they aren't, Bitcoin and crypto, and even if it's not through the ETF market, we could see very quickly a world where NFTs are not like they were in 2021, where they're regulated. There's a regulated market for NFTs. And we could also see at that same time that it's really kind of vague if AI is allowed to make these and invest in them themselves, if that's legal. How are we going to tell if it's an AI? How are we going to tell if it's not an AI? So one of the other big things about the meme stocks that they all have in common are their association with non-fungible tokens. GameStop, AMC, and Rocket Mortgage all use some form of NFT technology. Rocket Mortgage, I think it's extremely interesting, this idea they have of backing the mortgage rights on the NFT blockchain outside of the financial system. So there's a lot to go. I don't mean to, and really, I honestly, you know, this is a roundabout way of saying I think, Las Vegas Sands is in an ABC correction, before the Super Bowl, right? And I guess that's really the only important thing. But after the Super Bowl, we're gonna see some stuff happen in the world, and a lot of it by mid-March is going to be highly related to our financial system. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but where this is all heading, in my opinion, is that we are going to see what's been a big theory of mine play out. That the way that they are going to get, we have an election coming up, right? So they've got a time period for all this. If they don't renew an executive order, they're going to have to admit that we've had, body doubles like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Elon Musk, they've been body doubles, right? And so if we don't have an executive order renewed on 4/1, 2024, then after 6 months, the U.S. government and the current president, who is probably some military officer, if it's not Donald Trump himself, because it's been proven that Donald Trump had Q clearance as recently as June of 2023, we're going to find out that, the election this year, it's going to be a little interesting. They're going to want it to be done on the blockchain. Let's just put it that way. Pretty soon, maybe it's not this election, right? But pretty soon, what's going to happen, for you to be employed, for you to access your company's servers, for you to get paid, eventually even probably for me to access like a brokerage account. That's probably like a way down the line, hopefully. But for you to get, employed and access your company's systems, for you to vote, pretty soon Maybe even in a lot of places, like they're gonna say you need this to shop. Period. Pretty soon you're gonna be doing all that on the blockchain, right? You're not gonna be. You're gonna be doing it on the. They never had the plan that your jab status was gonna be, kept on, you know, some paper card, and every time you went into Walmart, they were gonna check your jab status card. That was never the plan. They're getting ready to take a new system live. I think 43.77 wide invalidation, 44.60 a little tighter. Las Vegas, you know, is going to be a interesting stock to watch. That's probably why the MMs are buying the 50 strike straddle on it, if I had to guess. But our whole lives are about to be on the blockchain, and they don't want you to know that before it happens. They want to kind of surprise you, you know. That's why they don't want you to be able to look up Swift AI attack. Because what's eventually going to happen right around, they've got this storm lined up, right? They've got this storm lined up. Trump is doing these document reveals where he's going to show the whole world, the whole court, that he actually legally had Q clearance with the Department of Energy since 2023. That's the inconvenient truth, or since a long time, as recently as June of 2023, he's had Department of Energy Q clearance. And that is called an inconvenient truth. And they might try to hide that inconvenient truth, but that's not really how they like to do it. Normally, they just like to tell us. And then they just tell us something more scandalous afterwards, so we forget about it. But where all this is heading and all the drama you're going to see with the migrant crisis, with voting, with disease X, with, if YouTube hasn't even censored that yet, where all of this is going is your whole, life is going to be on the blockchain. At least the voting aspect of it, at least the employed aspect of it. It's going to be on the blockchain, save grandma, stop the migrant crisis, make sure we have election integrity. That's all just a bunch of hogwash. The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to say that damn financial system, man, they're about to play some games with it. I don't want to get too, they're meme stocks. They're really, extremely volatile, but they're going to bring these back. And what they're going to do, they're probably going to try to blame it on Redditors, honestly. But NFTs, I think a lot of this is going to be a major headline. So, what I eventually think is going to happen is that as the Bitcoin ETF market gets more regulated and evolves, as this Fed emergency bank lending program ends, as Donald Trump's court documents case, where he proves that he's had Q clearance for many years after he left office. That's an official court filing. As all that comes and this all wraps up, I think one of their big distractions, I don't want to lay on GameStop too thick. There's a lot of ways I expect, maybe it'll just be a regular short squeeze. I mean, there's a lot of stocks that might be, over shorted. Ethereum, bang. But, this is kind of what I see playing out. Ethereum eventually follows. We talk about Bitcoin euphoria right now. I think the stage would be set for Ethereum in the long term to follow Solana. And I don't really think we're at that euphoria phase for crypto yet. I could be wrong about that. but we might get a little more of the crowd involved. We might see, interest in the stock market span beyond Finchwit, even, with how bullish we've, seen people get. I think this is my untouched chart of Coinbase. Wanted to show it for you guys. Not perfect, but I do think that Coinbase is going to be turning up into wave 5. This actually might even be this is what I'm looking for from Coinbase. This could evolve into something as well. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I think that we're going to see another leg higher. I'm holding Coinbase and Coney, mostly a CONY. But, you know, some, it's kind of like a parabola is forming, right? A little bit of a parabolic move. The next phase of this parabolic move for Coinbase and Bitcoin and Ethereum, should it happen at all, um, should there be a rally in meme stocks like AMC or GameStop, I suspect that aligning with the Super Bowl, aligning with the March quad witching, maybe aligning with a resurgence in gold and silver, maybe even China, maybe even biotech. Maybe they just do the pandemic thing all over again. Who knows? My kind of thing that I'm looking for is, more or less a psychological operation, a giant distraction from between mid February to, very early April. I suspect that, maybe it'll be viruses, maybe it'll be World War III, maybe it'll be Iran, maybe it'll be Taiwan, maybe it'll be who knows what it'll be. I think the financial system is going to get involved in that. And I think that there's very good evidence that Taylor Swift and her AI attack is very much programming for what's going to happen to parts of the financial system that force us into the next wave of regulation. What does that mean, pup? That doesn't really, well, if you haven't noticed, when they make things a lot more expensive, we tend to nut up and shut up and listen to them. You know what I mean? And from energies to gold and silver, what they could say, they could blame AI. They could blame Redditors. I think they're going to do a combination of both. What my big theory is that when gold and silver, maybe GameStop, maybe Ethereum and Solana, maybe Ethereum follows Solana, other, Rocket Mortgage, I can't believe they call Rocket Mortgage a meme stock, but the fact they use NFTs I think is really smart and innovative to, back the mortgage rights outside of the financial system. I mean, there's been they've been hinting at the London Metals Exchange crisis. You might not remember that, the LME exchange, all those buzzwords from 2021. I think a lot of those storylines are going to come back. And if gold and silver rally rapidly, what my prediction is that it is going to have something to do with the NFT market. It is going to have something to do specifically with AI minting NFTs rapidly. And what we are going to see, maybe it won't be, maybe it won't be March 1st. Maybe it won't be April 1st. Maybe it won't be till May or June. What I think eventually is going to happen is that we are going to see AI minting NFTs. That's what I think the rogue AI, and I've been talking about this for a little bit since December. I could see this is where they were heading with the apes and the Detroit Lions and the Roaring Kitty. I was like, oh, this is where they're going with that. The AI storyline. I mean, even AI itself. I think this AI storyline itself is going to come back, and we are going to see. It's going to be very entertaining. It's going to be, I think the crowd's going to get involved. Hell, maybe a YouTube subscriber count will go up. But um, I think that's a little tight right now. 23.27. I'm interested in buying AI, the stock, and blending it with AIYY, the Yield Max ETF. I am looking for 23 this low to hold 23.27. I'm looking for that to hold. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it broke the ultimate long-term invalidation. And the big thing is that from this low 16.79 wave 1, ABC wave 2, Chat GPT 5 I believe is being released. Who knows? What I think eventually happens is that Taylor Swift's AI attack, you know, she's playing the 49ers gold and silver. The silver squeeze. They blame silver going up on Redditors. The big theory, and then the day the Detroit Lions lost, we saw Eminem, the White Lion, at San Francisco on the beach, right? San Francisco, Candlestick Park. Everyone thinks that you guys are just a giant beach out there. So we saw the White Lion on the beach, and then that night, Evergrande was ordered to default. This is the bank that's accused by the meme stock community of being the one that large financial institutions use their loans as collateral to do something called naked shorting. And that as Evergrande gets liquidated, as the Federal Reserve's emergency lending program for Silicon Valley Bank ends, that happens to be a perfect gematria anagram with David Crow Seattle, who is stalking Taylor Swift. And now we can't look up Swift AI attack. We're not allowed to look up Swift AI attack. So if AI enters wave 3 and GameStop enters wave 3 and something like that happens with Ethereum or other NFT related things like Rocket Mortgage, we are not going to be able to look up Swift AI attack because we're not allowed to look up Swift AI attack because this time those bad pictures that are fake and not worth anything, they're smut. I think it's going to be referring to the NFT monkey pictures, and that's who the apes are. Don't let them blame the collapse of the financial system on the Redditors. Um, and I ain't gonna let them take all the money from it, make all the money from it if they try to either.